Last week, we did 2 breakdowns because we love you guys.
So much.
Also, we love our sponsors, and that's kind of why we did it, but we're doing 2 breakdowns for the foreseeable next couple months, at least.
Yeah.
So it's going to be great for everybody, but what that means is on You Comment, We Respond, there's going to be 2 different hands that we do.
Bam.
So last Tuesday, we did one called Elite Bluff 2, featuring Bryn Kenny making what we would consider to be an Elite Bluff.
I would call it, well, at least an Elite Bluff 2.
Yeah, at least the second Elite Bluff that we did.
Yeah.
You know, and if you want to see that hand because you haven't, or you want to see it again, click right up there, then come right on back here for these comments. These are our favorite comments.
And just so you have some context, Kenny opens the hand after under the gun raises. Kenny flats with 2 kings and 26 blinds under the gun +1. So let's hear what Clay Vision has to say. He says, Kenny's flat is something that not enough players do, and it definitely is a good play. Because it's so short, if someone squeezes after he flats, they are likely going to put in more than 1/3 of his effective stack, making it very hard to fold to a shove from Kenny. If he had 3-bet, he's probably going to fold out hands as strong as ace-queen suited and 9s, whereas if he flats, those hands may just squeeze and call an all-in when Kenny shoves over the squeeze. It's also very hard to balance a 3-bet range when you are playing against an under-the-gun open. When you are under the gun +1, flatting your entire continuing range makes a lot of sense.
I agree with all of those things.
I know, it's a killer comment.
Yeah, I totally agree with Clay Vision, although I don't know if I want Clay Vision. That doesn't sound like a good
Are
type
you
of
kidding?
vision.
I want Clay Vision.
Is that like you see everything is claymation?
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
It's like Gumby World.
If I could turn it off, that's okay.
No.
You want it forever?
You can't turn it off.
Forever?
There's
Okay.
no turning off.
I don't know if I
Vision.
want it. Anyway, this is a good point, and
Yeah.
it speaks to something that we were talking about a little bit last week with the hand. It's really tough to conceal the strength of your hand when you're this short and you're +1 and under the gun opens. So having a holistic strategy of flatting your entire range that you're going to play is one way to at least make it so your range is a bit wider. At least it includes like pocket 8s or something. Whereas if you 3-bet, it doesn't really include those hands.
It's a tough way to disguise it almost no matter what you do. It's a tough way to play with this stack. It's an awkward stack size when under the gun opens and we have a strong hand. But this is a great point and a great reason to flat for sure.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Chris Wilson says, can you make the argument to 3-bet with the kings to isolate the original opener? You don't want a multi-way pot with kings usually. This is also, by the way, a really good point.
Yeah, no, it is. You don't really want a multi-way pot with kings, but it's day 2. It's not like there's huge ICM considerations. Kenny's trying to play the way that he feels is the most likely to get him the most chips.
Yes.
He's not playing for protection. He's playing for maximum value. And he thinks against Ross, who is kind of a maniac, flatting here and letting other players behind do stuff also is probably the best EV play.
If Ross was a tighter opener under the gun, I think Kenny probably would 3-bet much more here because he can expect to get action. But Ross is opening just so many pots. Opening here under the gun doesn't have to mean very much. As we see, Ross opens with king 10 off.
Which is terrible, don't
almost certainly going to fold to a 3-bet, unless Ross is really bad. But he might be.
Right.
All right, finally, Stephen Tixay says, I disagree that Clemashin has no flushes here.
Okay.
Ooh, a little river comment.
Also a little Clemashin comment.
Yeah, I love it.
Gotta
He
love
obviously can't have king of diamonds, queen of diamonds, and king of diamonds, jack of diamonds, because Kenny has the blocker. But it would be reasonable for queen, jack of diamonds, and jack 10 of diamonds to call pre, check the flop, call the turn with a flush draw, and possibly a bluff catching 10. You guys insist that he would almost always be semi-bluff betting on the flop with a flush draw, but with 2 players checking an ace 7-7 board, you definitely don't want to get blown off of a free card by a check raise. Since we've established that under the gun is raising light, surely he has many 7s in his range. Interesting point.
Those are some interesting points. One issue is that you mentioned 2 combos. So
Yeah.
that's not really a lot to worry about
Right.
as compared to all of the rest of Clemashin's range. So I don't think as Kenny we need to worry about that much, because if it truly is only queen jack of diamonds and jack 10 of diamonds, that is literally 2 combos, and that is a very, very small range.
Right. I mean, Kenny can absolutely move in expecting to fold out all the aces and get called by all the flushes. If there's only 2 combos of flushes, that works out great.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next hand. On Thursday, we put out a video called One Play Ruins This Entire Hand. We could have called it Elite Bluff 3, actually.
Yeah, we could have.
I wish we had.
I know, it might get a bit confusing if we keep having elite bluffs. It's like, how many lethal weapons are there? Like, too many.
There are like 5.
There's 12.
There's a TV show also now.
Oh, yeah, there is a TV show.
I
know.
Yeah, let's
All
not
right.
even. All right.
Anyway, so this is not Elite Bluff 3. This is One Play Ruins This Entire Hand, featuring Vanessa Russo and Huck Seed. Please check that hand out before you watch these comments. It's right up here. Check it out. Then come right on back here. Keep on doing it. Keep watching all our stuff.
All that. All right. So, first of all, from here on says, if Huck has queen 10, does he bet the turn or check back? So queen 10 would mean he'd have middle 2 pair.
I think he bets the turn.
Me too.
Yeah. I think it's pretty clear that he's going to bet the turn for value. Vanessa sometimes at least has an ace, right? So
Or a calling hand.
Yeah, or a calling hand. So he needs to get max value if he can, and that's the best way to do it.
Also, if she's check raising for value, we don't mind getting in and considering how short we are stack to pot wise with a hand as strong as mid 2 pair heads up, right?
Yeah,
so
that's fine to me.
I think we bet and we plan on calling any kind of raise.
Although it's a little icky, but you just go with it.
We're usually losing, but we're not going to fold. Our hand's too strong.
Right.
Okay. Seth Barr says 10x of hearts is a holding that Huck would probably check back on the turn. Completely agree with that.
Yeah, I do.
So Huck makes a pair and has a flush draw.
Yeah.
But there's 2 overcards. We have showdownable hand. We can improve. Why would we put money in there?
Right. So that's mostly in response to Jonathan's main position that Huck would bet his flush draws that were non-showdownable on the turn. And I guess you did say non-showdownable.
I did.
So with the 10, it is showdownable. But yes, we agree with Seth Barr that Huck would usually check the 10 of hearts on the turn.
Those are the hearts, or the flushes really, that Huck can have.
Yeah.
It's the 10x of heart flushes. That's pretty much it.
Well, we did come to the conclusion that Huck is probably going to have to be balanced in some way if he's going to make this move on the river and sometimes check back his non-showdownable hearts.
But mostly I think he wouldn't.
Yeah,
All right.
okay.
We're a little bit of disagreement there.
Yeah.
Finally, Pedro Barrosi says, okay, it's a nice trick, and there are quotes around the word trick.
It started with okay.
Yeah.
I feel like something passive-aggressive is coming.
I'm loving this. It's a nice, I'm going to try and read it in the tone of voice that maybe it was written. Okay, it's a nice trick to turn the queen into a bluff. Even more considering the blocking bet, but that makes his bluffing range way too big. I mean, if he is bluffing those hands that have the most showdown value, he is also bluffing with all hands that can never win at showdown, making him very unbalanced. If Vanessa catches wind of that, her calling range should start to widen even more considering the stack sizes.
Okay, I mean, there are some fair points in there, but we think
There's
everything that Huck was doing here was based on the blocker bet.
Right.
We think Vanessa made the mistake by kind of telegraphing that she was making a blocker bet. Huck read into it really well, and it almost didn't matter what his hand was. If he didn't think he was winning, he was going to move in, just because it was so easy and so obvious.
Right, he can do it very wide because he reads that her intention is to fold to a raise, period, and it doesn't matter. He doesn't have to tell a great story. None of it matters. She's betting 100K, and she's probably going to fold to a big all-in. And that's exactly what happened.
And I posited, I thought maybe Vanessa never even considered calling. She was just Hollywooding a little bit because she had this kind of preordained notion that if Huck moves in, he's going to have a better hand than me. So that's why I block her bet. But Huck's too good for that. You can't do that to him.
Right. Against a normal player, this play is going to work just fine. Right. Normal meaning like an amateur player. Right. This is totally going to work. But against good players, they're just going to eat you alive if you're going to fold every time here. Now, we don't know if Vanessa's always going to fold here. Maybe sometimes she is going to call. Or maybe sometimes she's going to bet with a better hand that she can call with, like a flush or top 2 or a set or something like that. But in this case anyway, it doesn't look good. It's not a good look for Vanessa.
Right, it's not. And we don't really think it matters how wide Huck's bluffing range is. It just matters that he read Vanessa as making a blocker bet and followed through with the plan.
Right.